And what's interesting to me about this, I think we're going to start on page Kuf Kaf Hey. Because I wish I kind of did it, but the question here is, what does he mean by Mechadesh the Neshamos, or creating the Neshamos? I guess the question also is, what's the meaning of Neshamos? What do Neshamos mean? So let's read what he says over here. He says the topic is Azivuk Delilah, Mechadesh as Kli Yesod, Shal Hanok V'chein as a Neshamos Sha'alo Sham. So we were talking about when you go to sleep, that, and there's some pratim in here, that your neshama goes up. Now, where does it go up to? Apparently, it goes up to. We're talking about to Malchus level of the parts of above. I'm not sure what that means, so we'll see as we read. The kevin shechein hu nimsa she'ein zivuk halayla moil lahotzin neshamas chadashos. It doesn't help to bring out new neshamos. And again, the question is what does he mean by neshamas chadashos? Kevin shadayim ein sham kli, because there's no kli. So we're talking about, again, the zivug that you do at nighttime. Later on, he's going to say that it takes place at midnight. Moil lahotzin neshamas chadashos. It helps to bring out new. It doesn't. It says zivug halayla moil lahotzin neshamas chadashos kevin shadayim ein sham kli. It doesn't help you. It doesn't do that. Amnam yoel, but what does it help for? And I'm reading across the top. I'm sorry, I wasn't reading in the Teves. So he says, on the Shamas Chadashos, Yushanos, Kadugma, HaKli Sheba, also similar to the Kli, that is where they are in it, where it's in it, Shagam Ku Nischadesh Atacha Bezivuk Shal Chalayla, because also this takes place at that Zivuk. And then he says this part. He says at the phrase Baruch Shem Kavod Malchus Adon V'Ad V'Ad Kriya Shema Kumavor Etzleinu, until you get to Kriya Shema. Until you get to Kriya Shema, if we would explain. Now, I'm a little confused by that, so let's see that picked up on number Lamed Daled, which is on page Kuf Kaf Vav. Okay, so we'll come over here and reading the light print. It says Nimsa. One second. He says Nimsa shechazivuk and na'asa b'layla ein moil leholedes neshamas chadashos. It doesn't help for that. Mishum shehu zivuk debir rishona she'ein b'kochel leholedes neshamas chadashos. So if we can't bring out new neshamos, kevin she'ein misham na'im b'chinas kli, because of the kli you can't make neshamas chadashos. Okay, let's say this what it is. So let me see if I'm reading this right. Just only you'll be able to mechadesh the neshamas yushanos, the old ones, shenoldu kavar, that were already born previously. V'laylo, so he means another. I guess if it's referring to us, it would refer to what happens right before we go to sleep. It says that we had apparently an old neshama, has to be renewed. V'laylo alo laman the yesod and Nook, goes up to the yesod of the Nook b'reisha drush. Umachashefach nimshach sham ayedech v'zivug nimshach lechem shefach v'ha'ara, comes to them then nimshach umeshefach and nimshach sham, that is going into the Nook, the yesod of the Nook. Let's see. Laman alo laman shanol the chukavar b'layla alo laman the yesod hanuk. So he said the mashefach and nimshach sham. So the shef, I'm trying to find where the shef is coming from. Ayidera bezivug nimshach lechem shef v'ha'ara, comes down to those neshamas chadashos, not chadashos, but being those neshamas yishanos. Okushem shaklicha yesod the Nook mischadesh atach apachayidera bezivug. So they also get more strength and more brilliance, more radiance. Bas kavana says zivug the zun to be a rishona, so that kavana Meguvana be'es amiras baruch shem kavod malchus olam b'wed. So he said, Kriya shemash al hamita. Let me just read this. This is where it starts to get a little confusing for me. So if I ask Kavanas hazivuk dezun debia rishona, so the kavana that you have here, Mekavana be'es amiras baruch, this kavana actually takes place. That is what the zivug rishon takes place when you say the word Baruch Shem Kavod Malchus Olam B'Olam. That phrase, B'Kriya Shemash Alamita, which is going to be said when you're laying down to go to sleep. Achen B'Kuvanim Kain Al Shem Asid. So therefore, it's talking about something that's going to happen later on. Why? The Halach HaZivug Atzma, because when you go to sleep is not the time that the Yichud takes place. The time that the Yichud takes place in the Asa Rak La'achar Mekan B'Chatzis Alayla. So he says that when you say Baruch Shem Kavod in the Kriya Shemal Lamita, this is having an effect that's going to take place in the future, which is at midnight time. Okay, moving on. So it's a number. The next one is he said Havkadas on the Shama b'Yesod Nook. So depositing of the neshamos into the yesod of the Nook. So that actually takes place in that particular pasuk. Now he just said that the kli, I thought he was saying that Baruch Shem Kavod Malchus Olam B'Olam is when what comes after that. He says Kedugmas Akli Sheba, that when you say Baruch Shem Kavod, that's when the Mitzchadish comes about. Over here, but they actually deposit of the neshamos into the kli of the Nook, I guess, or let me read it again. So he says, you said Baruch Shem Kavod Malchus Olam B'Olam, and that allowed for the tikkun of the kli. Let's see, so Shenaz and the kli b'pasuk, okay, is the Olam B'Olam. Then he said, I'm still reading across the top. He says, "Oz anu onrim acher kach pasa b'yadecha after ruach." So the phrase, so for us, according to this, is that the kavana that you should have when you're saying the Kriya Shemal Lamita, and particularly on the words Baruch Shem Kavod, you're making being mechadesh, renewing the kli of the Nook, and that's right, of the yesod of the Nook. And when you say biyadaka aviduchi, then you're actually placing your neshama within that. La'alo sham toch hakli halchushin eschadish as ato. So you just then Baruch Shem Kavod as nishbasenu kadesh yeschadish gam chem ata b'layla, and that comes from that phrase biyadaka aviduchi. So you're doing it like manually by saying it out loud. You're bringing your neshama up there. That's the kavanah. Let's look at number Lamed Hey, and I think there's a number Kaf Tes. So we'll try to pick up these shefis here. So he says the light print on number Lamed Hey. He says yesod Nook b'pasuk Baruch Shem. So now you got the kli that took place as when you say Baruch Shem. This is your kavana that you're misaking the kli of the Nook. Again, he says the Nook. Okay. So what we're trying to do is get the yesod of the Nook into a position where it can give birth, something like that. Wait a second. So he says, he's on Rechav Gemara Amiras Shloshet Parshas Kriya Shema. So when you finish the three parts of the parshas of the Kriya Shema, Pasach biyad, you come to the Pasach biyadecha avgid ruchi. And when you say that, the idea is that you're saying that you're going to let your neshama come up, elevate the shama, laman el kli yesod the Nook, which will bring man to the kli of the yesod of the Nook, shenischadesh as ata, that in this process is being nischadesh. Because when the zivug takes place, which is going to be at chatzos, then that will happen then. So I think that was that. And so let's see. I wanted to go to number Kaf Tes really briefly and read the light print there. We just read it. So let me see where it is. There it is. So starts by saying, let me see if I could just read the light print, which is on page Kuf Kaf Zayin. So let me see if I could do that. He says, where it is, here it is. Be'inyan masha bedrash zechem mevurish tikun yesod and Nook al yedera b'yadayim the ima. So we were talking about that before. The yadayim of ima is the entrance of the nai of ima into the Nook, which has within it the mochin that are going to be able to remold, let's say, or renew her yesod. The ima na'asach b'pasuk bar shem kavod malchus alon v'red. Now that takes place then. Mavur shuhu na'asach b'pasuk b'yadaka avti ruchi. So he has a little stira here. Be'inyan shebedrash zeh medush shetikin yisod Nook ayidera yadayim has to take place through the hands of the of ima, and that takes place bar shem kavod malchus alon v'red. I guess it's not. There's no stira here. Let's look. Let's go back up and let's see where would we be. Number lamed. Continuing on. Oz omrim acher kach pasuk biyadakav avkei ruchi. La'alo sham tocha kli haku shenischazik atach as nishbesenu. So we're going to let our neshamas come up at that time also. Kadesh Yischadish Gam Haim Ator Belayla, so they should also become Yischadish at nighttime, just like the Kli. Mashbeh Sha'Allah and the Shamas Laman, Nahasis B'chamiris Pasuk B'yadaka Ravid Ruchi. So he says that the bringing the Neshamas into man and bringing them up into, and here we're talking into the highest place. The commander DRUSHOT. I'm a little bit confused. Is that we're here in this world, Olam is Sia. So what Nook is he talking about here? He's talking about really the concentration of bringing the Nook Olam Atzilus. That is the man from Olam Atzilus into the Nook. I'm trying to figure out the Nook of Atzilus. Now, how exactly is this working? I'm not sure. So let me go back and read a light print. He says, Mashma shahalos on the shamba the man na'asis b'miras pasuk b'yadaka avgiduki. Better the command, but later on we're going to see in DRUSHOT, before the aliyas and the shambas the man na'asis b'teves echad the kriya shema, which we know that's also true. So he says, shema. But l'maisa b'tzin the kamba v'kamba pa'amim shemekuvana la'alos nishvesenu l'man but Teves Echad, which is before Baruch Shem Kavod Malchus Olam V'ed, Echad the pasuk Rishon. Of a Teves Malchusa, when you say to the word Malchusa, the Baruch Shem Kavod Malchus Olam V'ed, Achar Teves L'Olam V'ed, after the words L'Olam V'ed, Ba'ana B'koach, also we see it in Ba'ana B'koach, of a Teves B'yadaka Avi Ruchi, then also B'yadaka Avi Ruchi, this one V'od, there's lots of different places, B'yesh Ta'ayin B'kol Zev, V'ayin Sedek V'shalom, so he says, I don't have the Sedek B'Shalom. I don't know what he said over there. So number Lamed Aleph is another one. So number Lamed Aleph says, La'alo sham toch ha'kli ha'ku shenischadesh ata es nishbasenu. So we're talking about the kli of the Nook, really, and I'm thinking about us, is that this is the kavana for the movement, I think, of the neshama, olam atzilus. But let's see what he says here. Kadei shenischadesh gam heim atar b'layla, so that the neshama should also be mischadesh now too. He says, Yesh tahavin mahu inyan chidesh and neshamas amar kan. What is exactly that chidesh? Umatzida the Harav be'etz chaim, we see over there, Shabir inyan zera betoch devarev. This is his words. Kamosh nishmas tzadiki ma'alem man b'kol layla be'ez hashena El HaMalchus, so that this is what happens, so they're able to bring this up, and I'm sure he means the Malchus of Atzilus. Maybe he doesn't. Maybe he means the Malchus of the Yitzira. I'm not sure. And it, as a result of that, this Malchus then renews them, according to this pasuk, the pasuk. Chadashim the Bekarim, for the morning, because what's in the morning, what happens in the morning at different Yichud. So let me explain this. He says, so what happens is that this mischadesh his chadshus that we're talking about, it says that what happens is that shines onto them, bechinas mochin the godless and mochin the godless. Shehem anekroim neshamot b'nei Adam. So he says, godless, mochin the godless, is what they mean, what is meant by the phrase neshamot. So neshamot is really another word for panemius. So panemius really refers to mochin the godless. Kain hazach ba'al also, so zer anpen also, looking in olam atzilus now, ba'alosech besod man mischadish gam came al yedera abba ve'ima. So also zer anpen also, not just the going to the, not just, I guess he means, see, I'm a little confused about this. I'm a little confused if I'm thinking about us and olam asiyah and our neshamos. And over here he's talking about Zer Anpen and Malchus of Olam Atzilus. So I'm not, we're a little bit confused here. So let me go back with Shemeir Bechem Bechindas B'Mochin the godless. This is really the being Mechadesh the Neshamos. Shehem Hanikroim Neshamot B'nei Adam, and they're called by the name Neshamot B'nei Adam. So it's more than thinking about our particular Neshamos, or the Panemius within ourselves. It's also a phrase which refers to Mochin the godless, which is called by the Shehem Nekroim Neshamas B'nei Adam. So Chavakain is Zer Anpen Ba'alosa B'sod Man, also Zer Anpen, which is in the middle, in his bringing up Mayan Nukman, Mischadish Gam came Ayadeh Abba Ve'ima, so the potential for Yichud is all Nischadesh. V'chidish Zelhu Al Yedera L'Kichos and Mochim Elu the godless. And how does this happen? Because of the shining back into them, these mochin the godless. So now we know the understanding the second ibur, we call the ibur sheni, bezer anpin. How is it? He says, how is it also found within us? Because I guess he means to say that the same process of bringing this ischadrus of godless into us while we're sleeping. Bezad ich nimser be'adam etachtam, ki b'tzelem Elokim asach az Adam, ki nishbas Adam yoshev b'moach shelo, ola b'kol laila b'sod man. That is part of this equation. Vis aver b'sochem b'malchus iver gamor. So the our neshama goes into again malchus. What malchus is he talking about? So I'm not sure. So let's see if he tells us, because he talks about Zer Anpen and so on and so forth. He's a misaveris b'sochem b'malchus iver gamor, u'mechadesh lo nishmasoch yoshev b'moach shelo, which renews that neshama which is inside of that person's moach. Keni inya b'zer anpen gam came and kan l'shona. So bringing in Zer Anpen here, it get me a little bit confused. But he says it's also renewed. So that means the agents of Yichud are renewed. He says in Drush Birchas HaShachar, he says a cost of Rabbeinu Zal ki hine ein Adam, there is no man. Ba'aretz asher lo yechte, who will not sin. So there, everybody sins. Give me just 1 second. Let me see if I can do this better. So he says, and there, one other thing. Okay, so he says that so as a result of the errors that we commit, then the is removed from us the levush a kedusha umalvishin nishmasach of the levush akali begodim soim. Now everything really depends on the nature of the chet. So im hachet hu kal mischalchish koach halavush hachu besod sur yaldecha teshi. So your sister is a small thing. You make it like as something small. Sur yaldecha, I don't know, the rock of your birth, of your offspring, will be ignored. So we say like this, it doesn't really, in other words, it affects his levush, but the levush doesn't leave. A question, what levush are we talking about? I'm not sure. Maybe he means the nai of Ima. So he said, "V'im hachet hu chomor mistalak alavush legamri b'alav." It leaves it completely. He says, "Ki ne b'kol laila ka'asher ha'ba'adam mafkid nishmasa biyad malchus al yona b'sel biyad ka'alim ruchi." Every night this happens. That's secret of getting it ready for the morning. I think that's how I would just look at Pshat over here. Adkan Lashona. So it becomes renewed. Adkan Lashona. So let's see what else he says. So this is a question that I had. Everybody says that Na'ar Shalom is just very few pages. Here he says this is a Na'ar Shalom. So I really don't know. I have something here called the Mudfas. But I don't look at it. Na'ar Shalom Daf Kaf Beis Amadal, so it has at least 22 pages there. And Rav Sham ben Na'ar Shalom before. She'inyan Chidush Neshamas. What's Pshat? What does this mean? It's really to bring light onto the neshama of the lahafrid mimenu hakali, and that light, that is the light of godless, he said previously, has the ability to be able to separate out the kali. He's a v'hidach be'etz chaim sham b'menachem shalom b'vur shechidesh neshamas and azach yederach hamochin aboyim lezun. So how does this come about? It comes about, he's saying it again, by way of the mochin that are coming into Zun, L'tzorach HaZivug D'chatzas Alayla, V'hikshe B'basi D'gani, there's a question on that, the Khan B'drash Zechah V'mashma D'chachidush Hu Mekoich HaZivug Atzbacha D'Bir Rishona. It's another question. It comes from the Zivug Rishona. And it said this Chadesh Hu Mekoich HaZivug Atzmo D'Bir Rishona, that takes place then, V'lo Mekoich HaMochim, and not from the Koich HaMochim. So, which came first, the chicken or the egg on that one? And it will be continued. We're to stop here and look at the Sifra Tzniuta.